I've been waiting for this day for what feels like forever.
Yes, I mean,
It's a new Lord of the Rings movie, James.
It is. It is. And what, 3 years ago they announced that this was going to be a thing.
Yeah.
And did it disappoint?
No.
Oh yeah, this isn't Rings of Power. Let's be positive.
Build me an army worthy of Mordor.
There's a lot of and ahhing going on because there's definite positives to this, but there are also there's concerns. It sounds like a cop-out. We're going to go through everything and go through all of our thoughts. Yeah, but just to kind of get you going, good and bad. There we go.
Yeah, we thought about maybe doing a breakdown, but to be honest, breakdowns have happened, and we have more interesting points to talk about than just breaking down what's in each shot.
Yes, I think it's probably good to start off by saying, if you don't know the story of Helm Hammerhand and you're going into this movie with fresh eyes, then there will be potential spoilers in this video because we're going to talk a little bit about the actual lore.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Helm is an awesome character.
The best.
And yeah, personal favorite of the channel probably, I'd say.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay, how do we start with this?
Let's start with the animation style because that's probably the big talking point. I've seen lots of things on Facebook, people sharing, oh, there's a new Lord of the Rings film coming out, and the comments are like, it's just anime.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it was the first thing I posted when I saw the trailers out. Like, I think it's stunning.
Yeah.
We have both said on the channel for God knows how many years before any of this was announced that anime would suit Tolkien's world so well, and I think that this shown it does.
Yeah.
Personally, it'd be slightly different for me though, and going, I feel like more First Age would be the better timeline, time period to do this style in, but I'm not going to complain with this.
I feel like it suits Tolkien's world in certain areas. Like I don't think necessarily the Lord of the Rings story would work that well in anime. No. I think the more over-the-top aspects of Tolkien's work suit anime really well.
Yeah,
the more dragons that are larger than life and things like that. I think that lends itself well to anime. And to be honest, Helm Hammerhand is a very exaggerated, over-the-top kind of character. So I think it works. I did want to see him in live action, but...
Yes. Yeah, like, kind of going to reiterate, it's the fantasy side that would work better. So doing a all-men, human men story in it maybe is a stranger choice. Yeah. But it might just be almost like a dip the toe in the water. If this goes down well, then, yeah, let's get more. Even if we had, like, a series of shorts in this style covering different
that would be cool
aspects, because Kenji
Hamiyama, I want to say.
Let's hope we didn't butcher that. But he did an episode of Star Wars Visions.
Yes.
So imagine like Tolkien's Visions, a little thing like something like that could be awesome. It means you don't have to commit to doing a whole story of, especially parts of the Silmarillion where there isn't necessarily like an actual begin, middle, and end, and that kind of thing where you could do sections and see something quite cool in that way. That would be awesome. Yeah. But that's not the point for now. Either way, I think it looks stunning.
Yeah, visually. I absolutely loved it. I'm an anime fan anyway, so that kind of helps. If you're not into anime, it might be a little bit of a shock to the system.
Yeah,
I mean, give it a go.
Yeah, anime does have almost a bit of a stigma. Like people who like it love it, and people who don't
hate
are
it.
Quite often like, oh god, I'm not even gonna. Anime. Oh, that's so childish. And it's just like it's an art style. Yeah. That's all it is.
Okay, outside of the visual style, then.
Yep.
We talked about who's directing it. Very cool choice because it's Japanese style art.
Yep.
The big talking point is probably the main character.
Okay, yeah, we can go on to that.
The story is this story should be about Helm Hammerhand because that's what it is. It's the story of Helm's Deep and all that. But this version, they've gone with the story of Hera. Now, Hera isn't technically a character.
No,
Helm has a daughter, but she is unnamed in the story.
Yep. Unnamed and literally nothing really known about her
Which,
at all.
to me, is the exact reason why they've chosen to do the story about her. Helm also has two sons, Hammer and Haleth. Take from that what you will. But they sort of have their runtime, if that makes sense.
Yes. Yeah, we know an expiry date.
Yes. Which, this is a business. If this film makes loads of money, they probably want a lead character where there's a potential future.
Yeah.
The unnamed daughter of Helm Hammerhand doesn't even have a death date in Tolkien's works.
No, but to be honest, that's actually a major negative for me, in that if that is their thought process, they're aiming for sequels, they're aiming for money.
Yeah.
They're not aiming for a good story.
I'm not saying it's a positive, I'm just saying that
no,
I get it.
Like we've always said, like sometimes you've got to go to those more unexplored regions to create the stories to fill in Tolkien's world, because there isn't necessarily enough written to do a proper film on a lot of these things. So I get it, but yeah, if it's purely down to like, oh, well, if this goes well, we can do a sequel on something that has never even been hinted at, then it doesn't necessarily mean they've gone, oh, let's make the best story. It means let's set it up so we can do more, like turn a book into 3 films. Which, Peter Jackson was involved with that as well. So it's tough. And I say I want it to be good, and it does look like it could be good, so long as, and I feel like this is almost deja vu from the Rings of Power before it came out, is if they do the story right, it could go really well. If they do things correctly in this, and this, it could go really well. However, they've gone, don't know what the wrong way saying it, they've gone girl boss in this. And okay, Rohan, they have shield maidens. Like, there's no reason that she can't be a girl boss now at all. But I hope it's for a good purpose and not just for the sake of going, we had to have a woman lead in this.
Yeah, I'm personally okay with it because of the fact that we don't know anything about Hera.
Yeah.
In the lore, so she could have been this badass warrior. So I'm actually okay with that. They're not changing the character.
No.
My bigger gripe is that Helm is such a cool character. I wanted this to be his story. That's my only gripe. But as long as he's heavily featured, like I'm cool with it. Yeah.
I mean, just to add to that as well, obviously this is being narrated by Eowyn. So I think Eowyn telling a story about another badass shield maiden does make sense.
Yes.
And obviously being the daughter of Helm Hammerhand, being a badass shield maiden also makes sense. She's not just some random family in Rohan who suddenly has this daughter who is better and everything than everyone.
I think it makes sense overall. You're having the daughter of a great king of Rohan, Theoden. I'm not daughter. Yes. Niece. God. Niece. Oh, God. Eowyn, niece of a great king of Rohan in Theoden, and then I'm losing my Hera.
Yeah.
Gotta try and get that in my head now because that's an actual character now. Not unnamed daughter of Helm Hammerhand.
Yep.
Being the daughter of a great king of Rohan.
Yes.
So there's that similarity and that link there. So it's kind of like almost a parallel between the two stories, which I like a lot.
Yeah.
However, with Eowyn narrating the story, the voiceover in the trailer doesn't sound anything like Eowyn to me. Not even her accent.
Yeah, it's like I said to you earlier. It sounds like Eowyn is trying to be Galadriel in doing the voiceover.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, yeah. And Miranda Otto it's come back to do it, so you thought it was going to sound a lot more Eowyn-y. It's I mean, when you see it, like if it starts, because obviously the trailer started seeing Peter Jackson's world and then transitions into the anime world. The film itself could start with Eowyn in live action, transitioning into the anime story.
Okay.
So seeing that in that way, her voice might seem more correct rather than just hearing a voiceover separate. But yeah.
Before we go into more lore aspects then,
yes.
Do you think it's a good thing that this is set in Peter Jackson's universe?
Yes and no. So yes, because I mean it means we get things like the Howard Shore score.
Yeah.
The visuals are all familiar enough, which I mean there's only a certain limit I think to what people could do, and if it wasn't, people would just go, oh, they're just ripping off Peter Jackson now.
Yeah. One of the opening shots is in Edoras of I guess it's Meduseld. The building.
So when it goes anime.
Yeah. So without the connection to Peter Jackson, we probably wouldn't even recognize what it was, you know?
Yeah, and like Helm's Deep looks, although technically it's not Helm's Deep at this point, looks very similar as well. So yeah, I think it makes sense. And obviously the first thing you see in the entire trailer is Peter Jackson presents. So yeah, I'm fine with it. I always like to see different takes on stuff, but an anime take on a Peter Jackson world is still different in a way.
It is different, and I agree with what you said. I'm just happy we have the score.
Yes.
Because it just brings that familiarity. It kind of brings it home. It makes it like, oh, we're back in Middle Earth. That's how I feel when I see the trailer. So yeah, I'm overall, I think it's a good decision.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about the lore then.
Okay, so do we start with the positive? Do we start with the negative?
Let's start with what we see and what we should see. And so we see a man arrive at Helm Hammerhand's throne, essentially, offering his son in marriage to Helm's daughter.
Yes.
So that is Freka, who is one of the Dunlendings. Yeah?
Well, I think it's Rohan with Dunlending blood.
Okay.
But basically what would become Dunlendings.
Yes.
Yes.
So he is offering his son, seeming like it's a nice, marry my son, give your daughter away. But realistically, it's just his way of trying to get onto the throne.
Yep.
Helm sniffs that out, and as you can see in the trailer, delivers him one of the mighty hammer hands.
Yes.
And that is exactly how it goes in the lore. That's completely correct. That got me really excited. But it feels like, judging by the trailer, that's probably going to happen in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's the intro.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the story kind of goes from there. And like we kind of said, like we want it to be a Helm Hammerhand story. It appears in the trailer, he disappears very quickly.
Yeah.
Same with the Japanese trailer, which we will touch on in a bit as well. He does not feature much. So I very much think he's like the set you off on your journey to go do stuff. And then come back later when it's the actually sieging Helm's Deep moments and stuff. Which is sad.
It is.
But it's not technically not going to be inaccurate.
It's true. Do you want to talk about the things that are inaccurate?
Okay. Eagles
Yeah.
and watchers in the waters.
Yeah.
Says.
Watchers in the waters is.
I don't know if it's plural. I don't know if it is a different one. Don't know if for some reason there's a Mumakil up near Moria, which would seem a lot weirder. I imagine it's the case of it's one of the same breed that has travelled.
Yeah.
I mean, it was I hope I remember. It's a grassy area with like forest around, where it kind of comes up from the lake. So that doesn't scream around Moria to me,
No.
but
Okay,
it's
so Watcher in the Water and Eagles.
Yeah.
Accuracies. I also you just mentioned it then, so I'm going to say it. Grassy environments. Most of Helm Hammerhand's, not the whole story, but key points throughout his story happen in the long winter, which was, as you can imagine, a lot of snow, and that snow has it plays a big part in the story.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping the last shot of the trailer we do see some snow.
Yes.
So hopefully they've kind of got that right, but.
Yeah, they might have just changed the time in that it begins out of the winter and the winter is what comes later, and that's what makes things worse, and that's the thing that they need to overcome as well as everything else.
Yes.
It's like when it starts raining at Helm's Deep, it's going to start snowing at Helm's Deep, or something like that.
That would be cool.
Like if they just redo that shot of Helm, and then you suddenly see snow.
Yeah.
Snow, blizzard.
I don't know. Why can't there be eagles in this story, James? And why is there?
I'd say why can't there? Like it is one of those which you go, there shouldn't be, rather than there can't be, I guess.
Yeah.
But the eagles don't get involved, and the only times they really do is when you got someone like Gandalf basically begging for help or being trapped on the top of Orthanc, for example.
Like, am I right in saying that the eagles are essentially like on par with the Maya? Like,
yeah, they kind of like the eagles are Manway's like beasts. They do the bidding of the Valar. Like they're not taxi services. Is like the whole flying eagles to Mordor. Yeah. So they just. I don't see a reason why one of the great eagles would come to the daughter of a random king of Rohan. And as much as we love Helm, realistically, in the grand scheme of Middle Earth,
from the eagle's point of view,
she is just a random daughter of a random king of men. Not even an elf, just a woman daughter.
Yeah, from their point of view, the stakes in terms of Helm and Hera are Freka and Wolf want to take the throne. That's the stakes.
Yeah.
I imagine being an eagle and being like, oh, that man wants to sit on that chair instead of that man. They're not going to care. So I'm hoping there's like a bigger story, and it's why they're involved. But we'll see.
Yeah, you never know. They could do it off the top of my head. Maybe for some reason the Lendings or the Haradrim or the Easterling, whoever is found an eagle and attacking it, and she saves it.
Yeah.
And then maybe that gives half a reason. But
It's
also
kind of like War in the North, the video game.
Yeah, that is very true.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that does make sense. Okay, what's next?
Yeah, we kind of touched upon the Watcher. People have mentioned Mumakil and why they would be there, which technically could happen.
Yeah.
The same time as the Dunlendings and Rohan are fighting, the Haradrim and Corsairs are also attacking Gondor. and it says they go up as far north as the Fords of Eisen.
Which is basically Rohan.
Yeah, so
yeah.
getting some reinforcements in from that isn't out of this world stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, also, you probably say, well, why would they let a Moonkill go help Rohan when they're fighting Gondor? But
it could
the
just
story,
be a case of they walk past and see some Rohan soldiers, and they're not, like, they're evil people. They're just going to be like, well, let's kill them. You know, it could be as simple as that. We don't know.
Yeah.
But logistically,
it could
happen. Yeah. What's next?
Lore-wise, I think that's most of what we get. I mean, okay, if we sideways step to the Japanese trailer for a moment.
Hang on a sec.
Okay.
I just thought of something.
Yeah.
So we talked about how Hera is the main character and Helm has 2 sons. We talked about they have essentially an expiry date. I feel like this. I don't know how. It gives me an idea of where they're going for the future if they choose to go that way. If this movie makes a lot of money, look, they're probably going to do a number 2. I talked about how they had Hera alive for that reason. Hera as the main character for that reason, because we don't know a death date for her.
Right.
If she stays alive, we all know Helm dies, right? Not necessarily in this movie, but in the lore, he dies. She should become Queen of Rohan. But we know that the next leader of Rohan after Helm is...
His nephew.
Yes, what's his name? His name escapes me. But basically...
Freyalaf.
Freyalaf, thank you.
Sorry.
None of Helm's children take the throne. Which surely means they have to die.
No, well, not
I suppose
necessarily.
she could choose to not be...
Yeah, it would be the case of at the end of the movie, she's done these great deeds. She's saved them at the last minute. She's won them the war, and she's kind of like...
Now I'm off with the Eagles.
Yeah, she goes off to Valinor. You know, that'll do it. No, I think it'd just be a case she'll go live on her own, go hunt some orc, or something, and basically become a badass lone wolf type thing.
Which I'm okay with. We don't know what happens to her, so if that's what they want to write in for her, that's fine. And all the people, I sense a lot of negativity in comments, not just about the anime style, but about the lore changing aspects of the trailer, of the movie. However, and we touched upon this when we watched the trailer, it's not similar to Rings of Power. Rings of Power are changing things. For example, they changed the character of Galadriel completely. Yeah, she's completely different in the books to the show.
Yeah, but it's big things like Rings of Power being made out of order, Galadriel being deceived by Sauron, which is just a massive character change. Like massive things like that are very different to unnamed daughter of Rohan King is actually a good fighter.
Yeah,
potentially.
Yeah.
Might be more than that. We don't know. But
it's not even a change. It's just well, she could have been. So
yeah.
Whereas we know these things in the Rings of Power. Yeah. So the lore changed stuff,
and he had a daughter.
Yes.
And Elendil, is it in Rings of Power? You can tell how much I'm remembering Rings of Power now. They've introduced the daughter that he never had.
Yeah.
To have a daughter character in there. Like, at least this one existed.
True. Yeah. So the lore changes aren't a big deal to me. But also, even if they were, this is set in the Peter Jackson universe. Peter Jackson movies already make big lore changes.
Do they?
They do. So it's difficult to really moan about things that we've accepted and loved for a long time.
Yep. Yeah, I think that is where you get the Peter Jackson universe does get away with more stuff.
Yeah. And we've said it before, I think maybe if the Peter Jackson movies were made today, people would moan a lot more. As they are masterpieces, but the adaptations and the decisions that they made, the cuts that they made, people would complain. No Tom Bombadil? Oh my God!
Butchered Faramir, Army of the Dead.
Yeah.
There are things that definitely would be. There'd be quite a few YouTube videos made on those subjects. But at the moment, there's nothing too groundbreakingly bad.
Yeah. All that's good. Okay, let's sidestep to Japan.
Oh yeah, that's what we were going to do. I can't remember my full point, but my point was that we see Saruman in it.
Yes.
I honestly don't think he's really going to be in it. I think he's going to be at the very end, because it's after this when Freyalaf becomes king, if I'm getting the timeline right. That's when he gets given Isengard. So I think and at this time he's still good. Like So hopefully they don't try and make him like he's trying to do something evil at this point, because I think unless I'm misremembering something, at this time he's not actually corrupted, at least fully. So there is good intention to what he's doing.
I think he's still out for himself at this point.
Potentially a bit. But yeah, so I think it'll just be like I mean, as he comes try and save the day at the end.
Maybe. But you know what was cool about
maybe that's where
him?
she goes find Saruman. Saruman comes back.
The best thing about seeing Saruman is we got to see a character that we know in anime style. So we got to see Christopher Lee in anime.
Yes.
Whereas he's the only character from all of Jackson's trilogy that was in the trailer.
Yeah. And actually, question for you now. What do you think they're going to do with his voice?
Ooh, well, AI voices are pretty much perfect these days.
I saw a suggestion, I can't remember where I saw this now, but they should get the person who voiced Dooku in the Clone Wars
that would
to
be
do
so
it
cool.
As a nice little nod kind of thing, which I quite like. But
Yeah.
obviously they've already decided this, so it's not like it might even be out there for all I know. But I thought that'd be quite a nice idea.
Yeah, no, I agree. Okay, any other thoughts?
I suppose just touch upon the Japanese trailer a bit more, and that it almost showed a completely different story. There were just different shots.
And it wasn't narrated by a female, so it's not narrated by AI.
No, that's
so
true. I didn't actually think about that when we watched it. Oh, yeah, good point. So it's... I mean, the Japanese voices do lend to anime very well, because that's how a lot of people ever see their first versions of these. So it does look almost better. I'd be curious if they ever did like the Japanese release here as well, so people could get the experience, but I doubt it.
Nah, I doubt it.
I feel like Ham was in that one even less.
Yeah.
Which again does not bode well for seeing an awful lot of him. It was just quite interesting that they released two at the same time with very different vibes and shots.
Yeah. It's exciting though.
Yeah.
Overall,
Okay.
what I want from this is I want a cool story of Helm. Maybe he gets kidnapped, because it looks like we see a shot of him in a jail maybe. Hera has this full story, that's great. And I want it to come back to Helm, where he is, marching out of Helm's Deep. The horn of Helm Hammerhand is being blown as he marches out to get revenge, or just take out his anger of his son's deaths, and just beating the Dunlendings with his fists in the long winter, and eventually freezing to death in a pose with his fists up.
Yeah.
That should be the end of the movie. The end of the movie shouldn't be the conclusion of Hera's arc, it should be the end of Helm's arc.
As Peter Jackson, we'll get about 13 endings, so it's fine. It's... Okay then, so at this point, trailer-wise then, give it a rating out of 10. Are you at the high end, low end? Like, where are you sitting just from initial, I guess, 2 trailers we've seen?
I knew what I was expecting coming into it. I knew it was going to be an anime. I like anime. The style of this anime has definitely pleased me. All the character designs look great.
Yep.
The only thing bringing it down for me is it doesn't look like it's actually a Helm Hammerhand story.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give it a 9.
Oh.
Because it's the only thing bringing it down for me.
That is high.
It is high.
I'm more pessimistic.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm pessimistic, but I'm going for my initial thoughts of the trailer.
I'm going to go about 7 at the moment, purely because I just feel the way, and I know it's a very generalization, but the way Hollywood is, and these kind of bigger budget, like franchise productions, they don't really come out with good stories these days. And
the story's written for them, basically, though.
But it's not, because they've had to basically write the entire thing of Hera. So it's... If it fits in well with everything and it doesn't make her seem like she could take on Sauron herself, I can kind of get behind it a bit more, but it's... Are we going to get a Mary Sue Ray type situation where everything just comes naturally to her and she just overcomes every obstacle just for the sake of it? Or is there going to be more to her journey? And it's nothing against Peter Jackson or anyone who's making it. It's the way Hollywood is now and the actual production companies and everything that I don't necessarily trust they're going to do justice to what could actually be done. So visually looks great. It's a story that I've wanted to see. Peter Jackson's always going to get a thumbs up for me anyway, but that negativity's still going to be in the back of my mind, and until we see more, Yeah.
I totally agree, but that's why until we see more, I'm giving it a 9.
Yeah.
For that exact reason. If this does well, would you want to see more stories from Tolkien's universe in anime?
Oh, 100%. I do anyway.
Yeah.
Whether this does well or not.
Yeah.
Again, like
Hopefully Thursday.
kind of mentioned, like I think the shorts idea might be better suited for something, but yeah, I want to see some earlier age stuff for sure.
Sweet. Okay. Let us know in the comments down below what you thought of the trailer. I'm fully anticipating some negativity, judging by what I've seen in the comments, because people just don't seem to like anime. I think it's just Tolkien fans that don't like anime.
Yeah, I'll be curious to know. Yeah, if you're feeling negative, is it down to the style, or is it down to the story, or
something else?
Other. Yeah, just what? Because if it's just the anime style, then people can get past that.
Yeah.
If there's a good story, if there's a bad story, it doesn't matter how it looks.
Agreed.
As there is a PowerShell.
Personally, I'm excited. Bring on Christmas.
Yes, can't wait.
Yeah. As always, guys, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you want to support us. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Have a great day, my friends, and we'll see you next time on The Broken Sword.
Bye, guys.